Good morning, everybody. Paul Romero here with the Swiss Gold Global Independent Business Owner Network Marketing Training number 86 on this Friday, January 16th, 2015. And look at that. In just 2 days, we went from the first month being almost half over to the first month being more than half over. So, as I was saying the other day, time just really flies by. Excuse my distraction here, just finishing up getting this set up and squared away here. And one last little step to do. I need to send an invite to Mr. Oh, no, I don't. He's already got my invite. So, close that off. Good morning again. John, how's it going there?
Good morning, Paul. I don't know if my face is showing up on the screen or not, or if you're just hearing my wonderful, beautiful voice.
Yeah, no face.
No face. Well, it looks like I'm having some weird internet connectivity problems this morning, of course, so I'm going to be doing this from my cell phone. I just was able to join in finally. So good morning, Paul, and welcome. It's the end of another week. What are we going into finishing up the second week of the year? So we're already past the halfway mark of this month. And I missed your intro there, Paul, but I just want to welcome everybody and say congratulations for those of you who showed up, and congratulations to Paul and myself for showing up here and being here on time. At least Paul was. I was a minute or two late, but that was out of my hands. And I'll throw it back to you, Paul, to get things rolling.
Okay, yeah, I was a little slow on getting this started myself too, but no big deal. We are here, and we are going to talk today about why you need Swiss Gold Global. And I'll tell you what, I'm not just talking about pitching, you on why you want to be an independent business owner with Swiss Gold Global and have, be your own network marketing business owner here. What I'm talking about is why each and every American out there today needs Swiss Gold Global. I mean, as just a membership, even you to be putting some gold in your pockets, kind of, so to speak. And the thing is, economy's getting so good, right? Housing prices are up. People are getting back some equity. Interest rates are low. Stock market's soaring. I mean, unbelievable, right? Gas prices, oh my God, gas prices are so low. Heck, it only costs $40 to fill up the tank these days, right? You fill up the tank, what, once a week probably? That's $160 a month. You get to save in your pocket every month that you can go out and spend on stupid stuff you don't even, And but wait a second, why is it that at the end of the month it doesn't feel like I have $160 that I can go out and spend on stupid stuff? I'm not spending it on gas. Where's it going, right? John, why don't you tell the people what you just experienced before and after your fast when it comes to the price of things?
Well, I'm going to say I hadn't actually done grocery shopping probably in almost a month and a half, almost 2 months, because I buy in bulk, and then I had been fasting for almost 2 weeks. So I wrapped up my fast the other night, and for the first time in about a month and a half, I actually went into the supermarket, and I was absolutely blown away by the increase in prices in food in just the last 6 weeks. What I was expecting that I would typically pay about, and I'm talking 6 weeks ago, $85, $90 for, my bill came to about 100, and what did I say the other day, Paul? About 130. It's like a $40 increase, almost 50% increase over 6 weeks ago. I give my kids organic milk, which I know I've been paying about $3.79 a gallon for, or a half gallon, was $4.99. $4.99. A third of the price increase. Not only that, just, and then, of course, there were some good deals on some of the produce and whatnot, but overall, I noticed a dramatic increase in food prices alone in the last 6 weeks. So all that money that I saved on gasoline is now, it is still being spent in the marketplace, but rather than putting it in the fuel tank of my car, the price of the fuel for your body has increased. And right now, in my opinion, and there's a lot of evidence to back this up, so I'm not just talking half-cocked here. Right now, I believe where the price of gold and silver is at is a great buying opportunity, and I wouldn't say more so than ever. I'd say, you know, in the last 10 years, it's been a great time to be adding gold and silver to your portfolio, your long-term savings plan. And right now, because of the price of gold has dropped significantly over the last 2 years, silver as well. Silver 3 years ago, at the end of 11, that year closed out, it was about $35. We're down to somewhere fluctuating between 15, 20 bucks here. And all the fundamentals and all the reasons why gold and silver are important to add to your portfolio and why the price increase dramatically happened over the last 10 years, none of those fundamentals have changed. The only thing that's changed is people's perception of the economy. But the reason for gold and silver, like the national debt, the devaluation of the currency, the slowdown in the economy, the debt bubble which is going to explode, those things have not changed. It's just people's perception and the manipulation of the gold market that's changed. So right now, more than ever, is important to understand those things, get educated, and that's what Swiss Gold Global has to offer, is not just the ability to save in gold and silver, but your membership to the website includes a lot of timely information and education to find out what is really going on underneath the surface of things and why gold and silver is important for your portfolio.
Speaking of perception, you know, why gas prices will go up from, I mean, just think back. Gas prices will go up from $2, $2.50, whatever it was, what it used to be at one point in time, to $3, $4, $5, and people are freaking literally screaming about it in the streets practically. You know, oh, you know, the gas is outrageous, right? Why aren't you out there right now screaming about the food prices? Look at the price of a dozen eggs. Okay, go all the way back to pre-crash times, in the height of the heyday when everybody had money to spend like it was, you know, whatever. But I mean, what was a carton of eggs costing back then? Like 69 cents for a dozen? Why is that all of a sudden, over the course of 10 years, a carton of eggs has increased 5 times minimum? I mean, a carton of eggs is $4 at least. $4 for a dozen eggs that used to cost 69 cents. Why aren't we screaming about food prices? Where's the perception here? Because it's being masked. Because it's like, oh, look over here at the shiny cheap gas prices. Everything's wonderful. And this is the game, people. I mean, look at your whole life. Look at the price of everything throughout your whole life. I mean, think of when you were a kid, right? You went out and you bought this big old fat Hershey bar, right, for a nickel, or whatever it was when you were a kid, a dime, a quarter, whatever. Big old fat Hershey bar, right? Well, what happened a little while later? They didn't raise the price on you. The Hershey bar got smaller, right? Oh, no big deal. I'm still paying the nickel, the dime, quarter, whatever for the Hershey bar. It's a little smaller. Who cares, right? Well, the next thing you know, they come back around, and now they raise the price. You know, it goes from a nickel to a dime, or a dime to, you know, 15 cents, or whatever it is. And you don't think about the fact that not only are you now paying more for a smaller bar, you're just crying about the fact that the price went up. And then the next thing you know, they're not going to raise the price again. They go and make the bar smaller. But you're not going to cry about that because you're still paying the same price. It's a game, okay? The same thing goes with markets like this, like monopolies, food. The price has gone up 5 times. They're lowering the price of gas at the same time so you don't scream about the price of food. You're not getting any more money in your pocket. It's not going to this monopoly over here. It's going over to this necessity over here. That's all they're doing. You're not saving anything anywhere. You're still spending the same amount of money, if not more. And here's what's going to happen. Mark my words. Watch this. Gas prices will start going back up. It won't be long, probably a year, year and a half. Gas prices will start going back up, and they'll probably drop. They'll probably increase dramatically and quickly. And we'll start screaming about gas prices. And what do? We'll distract you by lowering the price of food. Now, food has been increased 5 times, right? Well, they'll lower the price back to where it's only 3 times over where it started from. That's the game. That's the same thing with everything. The gold and silver. You look at the price of gold and silver. Look at the price of gold for how many years was it riding along at 400-ish an ounce. Then it started shooting up. And then all of a sudden it skyrocketed after the crash. It started shooting up, get everybody excited about things. It started skyrocketing, obviously, like John said, 2011, bottom of the market when things are the very worst. The dollar had, no value whatsoever. The value of gold was its highest, almost $1,900 an ounce. It's come back down. It's settled out right now at $1,200, $1,300 an ounce. It's never going back to 400. It's never going back to 600, 700 like it was in 2005 or 6. I guarantee it'll drop below $1,000, but we're at the new plateau. It went 5 times higher. Think about it. It rode at $400 an ounce. For 20 years, it rode at $400-ish an ounce. Skyrockets to 1,900, 5 times over. Settles back out at what? 1,200, 3 times where it started. That's the game, okay? When it happens again, what's 3 times over 12? 36. What's 5 times over 12? 10 grand. Guess what's going to happen? John?
Well, here's another piece of the history. Again, I just want to point out, as you're gaining from this conversation, that the fundamentals of why gold and silver prices started rising really after the dot-com crash and in the 2000s, the fundamentals changed. The reason why a lot of investors and forward thinkers began getting into gold really heavily and the price started moving up, after, I'd say post 9/11 really, is because in order to fix the slowing down economy, I believe, this is a lot of people's opinion, I happen to believe it's fact, is because after the dot-com tech stock crash in the late 90s, 99, we then had a major terrorist attack on our country, which scared the hell out of the public. And I know at that time I was living in New York, less than 20 miles away from those buildings, and I know what that did to the local economy there, slowed things down. I happen to be a painter and did a lot of work in the boroughs of the city, not actually on Manhattan Island where the towers were, and I know that things came to a complete standstill for months. And I get the feeling that in order to stimulate things, you had George Bush, then president at the time, come out and say, we got to go out and spend money. We can't let the terrorists win. So what did they encourage people to do? What became really cheap and really easy, more so than any time in U.S. history? Credit. Cheap credit. I was, gosh, in my early 20s at the time, and I probably, because of my lack of education and what you don't know, and a lot of people say ignorance is bliss. I say ignorance will destroy you. One time in my early 20s, with a job off the books, so I didn't even have a stated income at the time, I probably had half a dozen credit cards, probably with the at least with the ability to go out and ring up $20,000 in debt, which I did by 2003, like a fool. I digress from that. The point I'm trying to make is that this increase in debt, the easy money, the devaluation of the dollar, is what created the interest in buying gold and silver in the first place. And those fundamentals haven't changed. The debt of the economy is increasing. The household debt of every citizen, the average citizen, is continuing to increase. I mean, look what they did with the easy credit, what it did to the real estate market and creating the bubble in the real estate market. And you know what? It wasn't like that crash was really for the people on the inside, the people in our government. It wasn't a secret. It wasn't a shock. It wasn't a surprise like they pretend. A lot of people saw it coming, and a lot of people positioned themselves at the time to protect themselves. And those fundamentals haven't changed. And now we don't have, me and Paul are heavily into real estate. I believe right now the real estate markets are stable. I like where pricing is. I think it's a sustainable price point for the most part where pricing is. We'll probably see a increase in some, some appreciation in some areas. For the most part, I'm sensing that we're going to see kind of a plateau and more of a sideways move in some areas of the market. Some of the, I would say, some of the zip codes, and in some areas I've seen actually uptown a depreciation. But for the most part, those prices are stabilized. Where I see the big bubble, which actually should scare the hell out of every person who's got their money tied up in 401ks or mutual funds or IRAs that aren't self-directed, what would scare the hell out of me right now is the massive bubble in the stock market. I think I've mentioned on these hangouts, very close friends with a guy who trades the market daily, and it's, he knows his stuff, and the evaluation, the value of stocks compared to the profits of these companies is so overinflated. There's only one way to go but down, and it's my opinion, and there's a lot of resources you can look into that would back this up, that we're heading for a major crash in the stock market once the market realizes it's overevaluated itself. The Federal Reserve, the Fed, the government has pumped a lot of fictitious money into the markets here. And when that happens, you want to have, I think, a portion of your portfolio, I won't even say invested, I will say insured, some of your savings and money insured through the owning of gold and silver. Right now, more than ever, is a great time to get into this. And like I said, Swiss Gold Global offers a whole bunch of education and live talks about this subject.
That's kind of the point that I was trying to make here, is that, everything goes in levels and in cycles. And like John said, what happened the last time the stock market crashed? Do you think it's going to be different this time if the stock market crashes again? Okay. I mean, yeah, it's going to be different in numbers and reality and who knows, but it's the same thing is going to happen. History repeats itself, and the cycles that we go through is basically, a hyperinflation of things where things expand by about 5 times the price that they were, that, we get all hopped up and pissed off about, and then they lower the prices for us, but they never lower them back to the same what they used to be. They lower them back down about, well, what? What is that? That's 60%. So it goes from 5 times increase back to 3 times increase, and we reset at a whole new level that we're all happy as hell to be at, because we're no longer at the high prices that we were. But we forget, in that short period of time, we forget where we were prior to the high prices, which is ridiculous. And the dollar is still worth just $1. And what happens every time as we go to these high increases, when things become very, very when things become very expensive and all of that, and then we have that crash like John's talking about with the stock market, and things get really bad, the dollar devaluates, the price of gold and silver is what conversely reacts to the dollar, and when the dollar is down, the gold and silver are up. When the dollar is up, the gold and silver are down. Right now, they're trying to make us believe that the dollar is up. It's not up. The dollar's, not much better than the roll of stuff in your bathroom right now. But they have us all believing that it is. And that's what it's all about. That's what the dollar's based on. The dollar's based on nothing more than confidence and faith in how we believe it's reacting. There is no value to it, period, whatsoever. So if you have your, like John says, if you have a balance, an insurance policy against your dollars in gold, well, when the faith goes away, when the belief is gone because the stock market's crashed or whatever the hell it is that happens, then the gold is going to be react exactly the opposite of the dollar, and that faith and that belief in the dollar goes down, and it becomes worthless. The price of the gold is going to skyrocket higher. That's just the way it is. So why not have a big peg of gold sitting somewhere that the government can't get it, and be able to maintain your buying power? I mean, it's not like it's going to make you rich, but you know what? If a hamburger costs $5 today and it's going to cost $25 tomorrow, but your dollar bill is still worth a dollar bill and you're still making $15 an hour at your job, you don't have any more dollar bills. But if you bought some gold at $10 an ounce and it's now worth $25 an ounce, you can cash in your gold for dollar bills, and you have a whole lot more dollar bills that allow you to buy that hamburger that still has, you still retain the same amount of what you have. I don't know if I'm explaining that very well, but you maintain the level of where you're at. If you have, in reality, I think there's a very strong, I ran some numbers on this, and I think there's a perfect reason why people say 20% of your investments should be in precious metals and gold and silver and things like that, because it's the perfect balance to maintain, no matter how bad, how big, how much the dollar crashes or loses value. 20% of your investments in gold and precious metals will retain your exact stature, so to speak, your financial stature. You won't gain. In actuality, you probably will gain a little bit, but you're not going to lose. You're always going to be where you're at. That's the purpose of gold and silver. That's why every person in America needs gold and silver, because if you want to at least stay where you are, that's what you got to do. John, we're running a little late. Why don't you put some last thoughts in here and get us out of town?
Yeah, I just want to point something out, because you talked about food prices earlier, and the only area I kind of may slightly disagree with Paul, and this is up for debate, is I don't believe how food prices.
Well, we lost John. I don't know what happened there. Oh, there you are. You're back.
Okay. I was going to say the only area of where my opinion varies a little bit on Paul throughout this whole discussion here is with the food prices, because I don't believe food prices are the one thing that will not come back down, unfortunately. And while we were talking here, Paul, I looked something up real quick, and I know we're over our time. I started buying long-term food storage in 2011, okay? And for 180 servings, I paid $180 for a bucket of long-term storage per every 180. I just checked the price online 3 years in the future, because I haven't bought these food storage in a long time, quite frankly, because I feel like I've got plenty of it. The price of that same amount now has gone up to $280. That's a dramatic increase in pricing there. Nothing's changed about the food. The only thing that's changed is the value of the money that you're using to exchange for that. With that being said, you know what? I think this is a very important thing that people become aware of. And as I said earlier in the conversation, you don't know what you don't know. And ignorance is not bliss. In this world, ignorance can only lead to absolute failure. Do you want to be on welfare? Do you want to work every day until the day you die just to scrape by? Then stay ignorant and continue doing what you're doing. But if you want to live the life of abundance, that is your, in my opinion, it's your moral duty to live a life of abundance. It's the only way that you could share with people. It's the only way you can help people is by being having abundance yourself and becoming aware of these things. You have to become aware, and you have to get yourself educated. And I would say, try to reach out to Paul and I and find out what we're doing here with Swiss Gold Global and how network marketing and gold and silver itself can help you out and change your future and help you to own your life and become aware of what's really happening under the surface and how quickly your dollar is actually losing value, even in the face of all the fictitious growth in the stock market and the economy. And there is some truth to the economy bouncing back on some level, but not the way it's portrayed in the media. So become aware, get yourself educated, find out what gold and silver can do for you, what it means to own it, how it's an insurance policy. Reach out to Paul and I to get more information about how you can get involved with what we're doing to change and own our lives. And I'm going to throw it back to Paul here to end us with the prayer, and we are seriously over time now at this point. So I'll say, everybody have a great weekend. I'll be back here with Paul on Monday.
O universe, I ask not for more riches, but for more wisdom, which to make better use of the riches given to me at birth, consisting of the power to control and direct my own mind to whatever end I might desire. Goodbye, everybody. Get some gold.